For centuries, there have been stories told about beings much larger than any human, giants who, according to the accounts, walked the earth long before recorded history. Ancient texts describe them, myths from different cultures repeat them, and some even claim that enormous bones have been found that could be connected to them. But the question remains, did giants really exist, or were they simply misunderstandings turned into legends? Throughout history, there were people who looked at mountains and believed they were the bodies of fallen giants. Others discovered massive bones and thought they belonged to creatures that once dominated the world. There are also real cases of humans who grew far beyond normal limits, which adds even more uncertainty. So another question emerges. Where does truth end and where does myth begin? Did giants exist? Or is this one of the oldest illusions of humanity? If you're enjoying the video, subscribe to the channel because you are a very elegant gentleman. Chapter 1. The stories that gave rise to giants. Long before precise maps or scientific explanations existed, there were already stories about giants walking the earth. These were not isolated mentions. They were complete narratives, repeated by different civilizations that never had contact with each other. In some ancient texts, enormous beings were said to have lived before humanity as we know it. In the Bible, the Nephilim were described as men of great size who existed before the flood. They were not simply tall, they were imposing figures, associated with strength and power. In Greek mythology, the Titans were not just giants, but beings who ruled the world before the gods of Olympus. According to these stories, humans arrived later as part of a new era. In Norse legends, the Jotnar were colossal creatures that inhabited the earth before the creation of the human world. These narratives did not only speak of size, but of a previous civilization, older and almost lost. But the idea is not limited to Europe. In the Americas, some indigenous traditions spoke of giants who lived before the current peoples. In certain Mesoamerican legends, these giants were said to have built enormous structures and disappeared after great catastrophes. Some accounts even claimed they died when the world changed, as if they belonged to a different age. This led to another interpretation. Some ancient constructions seemed too large to have been made with primitive tools. Massive stone blocks, perfectly fitted together with no visible mortar. Places such as megaliths, cyclopean walls and monumental structures fueled the idea that they may have been built by beings of great size. For those who did not understand ancient engineering techniques, the simplest explanation was that the builders were giants. There are also stories describing giant footprints found in rock or hardened ground. Travelers and explorers claim to have seen tracks much larger than any human foot. In some cases, these marks became part of local folklore. They were said to be the last signs of a race that no longer existed. Over centuries, the idea began to take shape. It was no longer just a single creature, but a possible earlier civilization. Enormous beings who lived before modern humans, who built structures, left footprints, and disappeared over time. Each culture added different details, but the core idea remained the same: giants belonging to a forgotten past. And although these stories were passed down for generations, they all shared the same problem. They were accounts, narratives, interpretations, not proof. And it was then that science began to analyze the same question, but from a completely different perspective. Chapter 2. Science and the giants. When science began to analyze these stories, the question changed. It was no longer whether giants appeared in legends, but whether they could have actually existed. For centuries, many supposed giant remains had been accepted without question. Enormous bones found underground were interpreted as direct evidence. But with the development of comparative anatomy and paleontology, those conclusions began to change. Many of those bones turned out to belong to prehistoric animals. Remains of mammoths, mastodons, and even dinosaurs had been mistaken for parts of human skeletons. A gigantic femur without proper knowledge could look like the leg of a colossal being, but when scientists analyzed the proportions, the differences were clear. They did not match the human structure. However, something keeps the discussion alive: human gigantism, a real medical condition that causes growth far beyond average. The most well-known case is Robert Wadlow, considered the tallest person ever recorded, who reached approximately 2.72 meters. His height was documented, measured, and photographed. He was, without a doubt, an extraordinarily tall human, but his case also showed the limits of the human body. Wadlow had difficulty walking, needed special supports, and his circulatory system worked under extreme strain. His size placed enormous pressure on his bones and joints. This led scientists to an important conclusion: the taller a human becomes, the harder it is for the body to function properly. From a biomechanical perspective, a human 4 or 5 meters tall would face enormous challenges supporting their own weight. The bones would need to be much thicker, the muscles much stronger, and the heart would have to pump blood to far greater heights. Gravity would become an almost insurmountable obstacle. Additionally, modern archaeology has excavated thousands of sites around the world. Ancient civilizations, settlements, tombs, and entire cities. If a race of giants had existed, consistent skeletons, tools adapted to their size, or structures designed for them would be expected. However, no such evidence has been found. It was also discovered that some supposed giant discoveries were frauds. In the 19th century, newspapers published exaggerated stories and images of giant skeletons that were later proven false. In many cases, they were hoaxes or misinterpretations that spread quickly. As science advanced, many of the pieces of evidence supporting giants began to collapse. But one thing did not change. The stories continued to exist. The legends kept repeating, and the fascination with giants did not disappear. Because even though science has not found conclusive evidence, the question remains open for many. Were they simply myths created by human imagination, or could they have existed in a distant past that left almost no trace? In the end, the answer is not absolute. Science offers explanations, legends offer stories, and between the two, there is still room for doubt.